Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. So as you see, I did not kill my own camera. This is just a little bit of perspex. Today's episode is about micro slingshots. And I made this one, and this one actually was made from a leftover from the polycarbonate Viking shield. It's blittered off, and I simply cut a little slingshot out of it. And as you see, these slingshots are so tiny that you can only hold them like this, or like this I guess. But I like them holding them like this. So a lot of people are very much afraid to hit their hands when they shoot this, or better to hit their thumb when they shoot with a thing like this. And there's actually some truth in that belief that it can happen. So it's only more for experts to shoot it, but the way how you shoot it actually prevents that this happens. Let me show you how. Because, let me show you this with the paintball. Paintball is actually very good practice ammo until you master the entire technique. So you put this in the pouch, but what you then do is you twist the pouch a little bit and then you hold it like this, so that when you release, actually there is an upwards vector, because the ball actually has to climb up your thumb before you shoot, like this. So, you know, it goes upwards and then to the front. And this means that, and you can really see this in this high-speed recording really well, when you shoot this, actually when it passes your hand, it is a good piece above the entire slingshot and your thumb. So even though the flipping action, that is actually unavoidable, when you shoot like this, of course you flip to the front, you can't help it. But this is of no help because you're not fast enough to really do this quick enough to be out of the way. But the thumb method, that makes it flipping over. So when you shoot with full power, it looks like this. Yeah, that worked. So here's a few more micros that I've made. First of all, you saw this, transparent, I kind of like it. But here is one that I made a long time ago, and people really love this on the internet. I attach very short bands for it, and that's because I'm using it to shoot short crossbow bolts. In any case, this one is actually ergonomic when you hold it like this, see? And it's made from plywood and some exotic wood. I forgot what type it was. And then I have this one. And this one here actually is made from exotic wood that I found on a vacation in the Caribbean. It was probably driftwood or something. It's a natural fork that I turned into a micro, and it's also an ergonomic shape. And this one shows you that I can also use flat bands. I'm not limited to the tubular bands, although the tubular bands look kind of clean. Here's one that I cut out from plywood. And you see I use this handcuff method. See, there's a little piece of a steel nail here in front. So you simply pull this through and then you put the steel ball in, and then this is really solid. So all these micros work the same way, and you also use it to shoot arrows. When I shoot arrows, I try to not really alter them in a way that they are then later on useless for bow hunting and so on. What I do is I simply attach a little bit of rubber to the end, simply wrap it around and then tuck it underneath, so that you have something to hold on. Because this allows me to use a normal pouch, so I don't have to change the band, so it can only shoot the arrows. And then these little devices are ideal. They're actually better suited for arrow shooting than the large shooters. Because simply what you do is, you put them in, like this. Then you put the pouch over this here. And then what you can do is, you can perfectly hold onto the rubber ball that you have. And then what you do is, you then change the method. You no longer shoot like this, but now you can shoot like this. And this finger can actually be used to make sure that the arrow isn't jumping out of the fork, like this. And then you can very easily shoot this thing with, well, I wouldn't say lethal speed, but with decent speed. Like that. It's super fun. Bong. What I really love is shooting small steel balls, like these 8mm steel balls, with flat bands, because this allows you to really achieve very high projectile speed, and yet they're really accurate. Bing! They're hard hitting. Of course, now a lot of people will say, do you have blueprints and so on? Well, in fact, I have. You can download them from the link below. So this is the design. It's the most simple design, but I have anyway decided, as always, to give it into the free public domain. This means you can make this slingshot, you can make it for commercial purposes, for private purposes, for anything. If you want to make it to sell it, or to just shoot it, or to give it someone as a present, this is the public domain design, so feel free to use it. And also I'm going to show you how to make it. First of all, make sure that when you print it out, this is about 7 centimeters. Plus or minus a few millimeters, so it's not so important. And now we cut this out with a little bit to spare, like this. Exactly like this. And then we find a suitable piece of wood, and this can be any type. I love plywood because you don't have to worry about the fiber direction. Then you put some glue onto it. Alright, like that. Well, we are starting with drilling the holes to here, because it is easy to misalign that drill hole, and if that happens, of course, it's a really bad thing, since then the whole geometry is disturbed. Therefore, we're starting with this, and I always recommend take anything pointy like this Phillips screwdriver and mark it first by hand, like this, and here. Because then it will be much easier for you to keep this. Alright, so if it's halfway straight, this one actually isn't really perfectly aligned, but I can live with that. Let's go and saw it out. Next thing that we're doing is we are breaking off the ridges here, so that the edges are smooth, since otherwise if we don't do it now, then later on you will probably ruin the piece. Alright, now it's time for the sanding. It's not absolutely necessary to do it, I just like it because then it feels a little bit more smooth in the hand and also looks better. And now you can put some oil on it. I like linseed oil because it actually is soaked into the wood and stabilizes it a little bit. It's again not absolutely necessary. It just looks cleaner, smells good and protects the frame. Now it's time to attach some bands, and of course you can use a normal flat band and simply wrap it with rubber over the top of the fork, or you can use these looped bands, and those you can easily make from a Chinese tube that you can buy on the internet from 1,000 different sources. But you could of course also buy completed bands, like from Simple Shot or from my store. Lots of places that sell these looped bands. I recommend not using the strongest type, even though that is a pretty strong type already. So we are using some shashlik pins, and you can easily chop them off like this, and you need a piece that's about, I don't know, maybe a centimeter or something. Okay, piece like that. So how you get it through? Well, I take a little bit of wire. You can also use string, but wire is just easier. So this is just a baling wire, I think. I simply put it through like this, and then you put it through the frame, like that, and then you pull, like this, until it comes out on the other side. And now you can remove the wire again, like this, ups, like this, and put in the wood. No. So you put the wood through here, like that, see? And then you pull on the rubber until it's tight. And as you see, most of the force is taken from the friction, which is really cuffed in this little hole here. So this really is only so it doesn't accidentally slip out. There's not enough leverage on the wood, you know, so it can't break. But of course, if you think it's safer, you can take a piece of a steel nail instead. So that's it. We built a little slingshot. Took all about 5 minutes or something. But it's a fun little toy. So again, I recommend, if you want to practice with this, use paintballs first before you shoot steel balls, because it is important that you get the technique down. So, and also don't use very small pouches. Use pouches that are large enough so nothing slips out, since you only have one left thumb. But once you get it down, it's really a lot of fun to shoot with these things. Wow, bing! They're hard hitting. Bing. It's fun. So, micros, I love those, and I hope you do too, because that's it for today. Bing. Thanks and bye-bye.